Hi everyone, I'm Janet Prop Morgan, and this is my channel where I talk about children's books, children's literature, and just enjoy exploring our favorite books as a family. I'm a mom of 8, and I am a children's author and illustrator, so I feel like I have kind of a unique perspective on children's books just because I have read so many over the 16 plus years that I've been a mom, and because I am involved in making children's books. So I have been trying to theme these videos in one way or another for the last few, and today's the ones I came up with today, I was looking at vintage books, and I was thinking how nice it would be to have a strictly vintage themed video. But then as I was looking through, not only did I find a bunch of vintage books that I like, and I usually do like end up featuring a few vintage videos on these anyway, vintage books on these videos. But I realized that all the ones I had picked out were also themed with each other, and they are all themed about man's best friend. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the oldest one, which is this sweet book called Angus Lost. And one of my children's name is Angus. So this book kind of stood out to me for that reason at first, because I thought, oh, how cute. You don't hear that name a lot, and it might be fun to read it to Angus. And he was quite little when we first got this one. But I really like this particular book because not only is the main character this adorable little Scotty dog named Angus, but it has really great color for a book produced in, I think it was 1932 is the copyright on this, and it has a lot of fun contrasting pages. The tone of this book is also really funny. It has like a very simplified style, I would say. A few of the pictures are fully black and white, but most of them have the nice color blocking with quite a bit of, like quite a few different colors for the time period. If you'll notice on older books, a lot of times they only have maybe 2 to 3 colors, and that has to do with the printing process back in the day. Illustrators had to actually kind of produce the picture 3 different times or 4 different times, or however many different colors there were going to be in that picture. They would do the black and white part first, and then I'm not sure if I'm explaining this really well, but then they would kind of go back over that image and they would choose the parts that were going to be certain colors. So let's say the picture was going to be green, blue, and white. They would first do just the black and white part, then they would choose the parts that were going to be green, and they would choose the parts that were going to be blue, and those 3 images would be printed one on top of another, producing this sort of color block style of printing. And you can see in this one how that might work. And this book has more colors than usual, so this one probably was more trouble to make back in the day, and it still has a very charming look to it. But I love the way that this book sounds too. Like, it starts out, this is the beginning. I'll read you the first page. It says, "When winter came, Angus grew tired of the same yard and the same house and the same cat and the same things he knew all about. Angus was curious about other places and other things, such as where the milkman came from and where the wide road went and what kind of animals cars are and things like that." And so that's just like the tone. It's very childlike, and it's how I might imagine how a dog actually might think. So it's very fun to read. And he has all kinds of adventures with other animals and other things. And in the end, he can't get back home. And he finds shelter in a little cave overnight, so the peril is not high. And the next day, he ends up following the milkman back home because he's just that clever. And the end of the book finishes with, "At last, Angus was home again. Angus was glad to come back to the same yard and the same house and the same cat and all the same things that he knew all about." And I just think it's quite lovely. I love the full circle of this book, and we read this one quite often. So that's the first one. The next one that I'll hold up is one that I think most people are pretty familiar with still. It's still a really big classic, and I'm almost certain that it's still in print, but it's the golden book, the Poky Little Puppy. You probably remember this if you were read to very much as a child. It's just such a classic, and it's that way for a reason. And one of the things about this book is that it has great repetition. Some books, when you read them, if the repetition is too much, it gets boring. I don't think the Poky Little Puppy is that way. It has sort of a wonderful, what would they call that? Call and response, maybe? Maybe that's not the right term for it, but it's when you sort of have almost a chorus, like how a song will have a chorus in the book, and like in the Poky Little Puppy, you have the pages that, you have the little chorus almost that happens throughout the book that goes, and home they went as fast as they could go, over the bridge, up the road, through the meadow and under the fence, and there, sure enough, was dinner waiting for them, with rice pudding for dessert, and there's always a different dessert, you know. If you've heard this book before, I know you know what I'm talking about, and it makes it quite fun for little kids to listen to, I think, and it's good for before bed because of the sort of repetition and throughout it. I think that causes sort of a sleepiness. But I also really like the pictures in this book. They have what I consider like classic golden book. I think I talked about that in the last video, where you have a very rich, colorful, but a little bit flattened. Ooh, might have to check on a child. I think we're okay. Look, that golden book was kind of famous for. You can see. I think it's lovely. They really, I think, were leading the pack during their day with like very colorful, rich pictures in children's books. Like we talked about in this, there was sort of a technique that was difficult to produce real colorful children's books. It was expensive, it was time consuming, it was a lot of work for the illustrator. But Golden Book, I don't know if maybe they came up with a new technique, but they were producing very full color, gorgeous books in the 40s, and maybe before. But this book's still available. It's very cute. It has very fun pictures. It's not too long. It's a good one for when you just sit down and you need a little bit of time to read. I'm actually a big proponent of books that aren't too long for children, and if they are longer, I like it when they can be broken up into maybe a few sittings. That just makes it where I think it makes it where you're going to read more to your children if the books aren't too awfully long or too awfully wordy. Not that they can't have rich language, not that they can't have maybe pages that have a little bit more on each page. Excuse me, I feel like I'm stumbling over my words this morning. Hope y'all will forgive me there. But yeah, I'm going to move on to the next book. The third book is called Bounce and the Bunnies, and this one I think is in between. The publishing dates was in between the dates on these two. And again, we have the more less brightly colored book. That doesn't take away anything from this book though. The pictures are so... Someone turn on music in the next room. Oh, excuse me. Hey there, sorry, I had some stuff that needed my attention. Anyway, the book we were on is Bounce and the Bunnies. This one is really adorable. I can't remember what I started to say about it. I've had to restart the video a couple times, but it's, I think, published between the other two that I showed, and it is very sweet. I like the visual storytelling that happens in this book. It's about Bounce, who ends up lost, or maybe he runs away from home, and he ends up living with a sweet family of rabbits who take pity on him because he has a thorn in his nose from rolling in some blackberry bushes. And the burrow of the rabbits is just too cozy. It's very like Beatrix Potter, I would say. And one of the funny little visual things that happens throughout the book is in the beginning they tuck him into this bed because, oh, he's sick and he needs to heal. And as they go on, the bunnies teach him better manners because he's just a little puppy with no manners. And they teach him to be like a kind puppy. Very sweet. You can see like the pictures here. But he starts to grow because he's just a little puppy in the beginning. And as the story goes on, the bedding situation changes. Each time you see him, there's like another bed added on until in the end of the story, he's completely grown out of the whole burrow. He's sleeping on everyone's beds, which is very cute. And then it's just a sweet story as it continues on. You can see, like I was talking about earlier, this is an older book with less color per page. I think this one just has two colors, sort of a brown and a black to create depth. And they still were able to create such charming illustrations. look at the one of a birthday party here. I think this book may be out of print since it is older, but I think it's well worth trying to find and have in your library. And even if not, I hope you kind of have gotten to enjoy just seeing it and getting a little glimpse into how some of these older books were produced. This one is longer. This is a longer story, and I feel like this would be good for maybe a child who is going from being read to reading to themselves. Like maybe before they're quite ready for full chapter books, this might be something that they could read to themselves and feel accomplished, because this story is a little bit longer. It has quite a few words per page, and the story has like several, not chapters, but it sort of like does have several different events happen throughout the story. So this one could really make a younger reader feel accomplished, but it is also fun to read aloud to the kids, and it's very fun for them to look at. So anyway, that is my whole video for today. I'm sorry I'm kind of late getting one up. I was gonna maybe try to do these weekly, but we've had like a lot of bad weather and I've had poor lighting. Today's kind of a little better. Hopefully it turns up okay. Hope you guys enjoyed looking through these vintage books that ended up unintentionally all being themed with dogs. And I do want to give a little update about the process with my book. As you might have noticed, I did get one of my first proof in this week. My newest book, Hannah Lee and the Week of Dreams. This is the proof. If you've never seen a proof before, they come with this not for resale band all the way around them most of the time, or they may say something similar to that. And so that's kind of annoying when you're trying to show someone, look at my book, because it's not really how it's going to look. But there were a few little issues with how the images are on the page. Like there was this white strip along the edge of a lot of the pictures, which is not supposed to be there. But I am very happy with the color and the amount of detail that got onto the page. So you're getting a little sneak peek at some of these illustrations. I also have these pencil illustrations that sort of set off the full color ones. I do all of my painting with watercolors, and then I tend to layer up. I start with watercolor and pencil, and then I add colored pencil on top of that and pen details on some of the pages. Fun fact about this story is part of the story is the main character Hannah dreaming, and part of the story is her during her waking hours. And something fun that I did was when she is in the real world, the pictures have more pen detailing so that they stand out a little bit more crisply, as you can see here. But when she's dreaming, the pictures do not have very much pen detailing. They are more soft and the edges are less distinct, and that was on purpose. I really thought that was a fun visual thing to do. And I mean, it's just something that maybe I would notice, but it was very fun to do, and I am very happy with the result. So I'm going to keep you guys up to date on this. It will be available soon. There's going to be 2 versions this time. I'm waiting on the hardcover proof also to come in. They're by 2 different printers. I know some people are not excited about buying from Amazon, so if that's you and you're interested in getting this book, it will be available through a different printer with hardcover, which it will also, this is exciting too, will also be much bigger. This book is, I would say, is kind of nice as a soft cover. I'm happy it's smaller because it keeps it from being overly floppy in your hands. It can be hard if you have a really big soft cover and it wants to, you know, open up too much and bend the book backward. But this is about perfect for that. But the hardcover is going to be, I think, like 8 by 11, about the size of a piece of letter stock. So that's exciting. I cannot wait till that comes in. I hope that it is perfect the first time around. That would be what we would hope. We've made some corrections to this one, and I'll have the better version probably in, like, on Friday is what they're telling me. Hopefully the mail comes. This one was kind of delayed. But anyway, I will put my links, whoops. I will put my links for my books in the description as usual. I also always put a description of the books that we talked about in the video so that if you're interested in looking them up, you have the names of the books and the authors. Thanks for being here with me today. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.